golf's history isn't built on fame alone. Sure, today we hear names like Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus, the legends who defined generations. But some players left their mark in quieter ways. Their influence might not always be obvious, but it's no less meaningful. When we talk about a golf legend, we usually think about players who won lots of tournaments or big championships. But being underrated means that a player was really good, maybe even great, but did not get the fame or praise they deserved. Some of that comes down to timing. In golf's early days, even the most influential players didn't always get the recognition they earned. So, to understand where the sport came from, it's worth going back to the pioneers, those who shaped the game long before it became a global spectacle. One of those pioneers was Bob Charles, the first left-handed golfer to win a major championship. He won the Open Championship in 1963 by a big margin. Bob was known for his amazing putting skills and played well for many years, even beating his own age in competition when he was over 70. Despite all this, he didn't become as famous as some others because he was quiet and played during a time when other stars were more popular. If Bob Charles were competing today, with 24/7 sports coverage, social media, and an appetite for unique, record-breaking stories, he might be mentioned in the same breath as Phil Mickelson or even Rory McIlroy. A calm, precise lefty with that level of consistency and longevity, he'd be a headline maker, no question. Another name who deserves far more recognition is Roberto De Vicenzo from Argentina. He won the Open in 1967 at the age of 44, an impressive feat even by today's standards. Known for his humility and sportsmanship, Roberto was admired by peers, but is too often remembered for one painful moment, the 1968 Masters, where a simple scorecard error cost him a shot at a green jacket. That single mistake overshadowed a career that included over 200 tournament wins. In today's era, with better media training, international branding, and a more forgiving press cycle, Roberto might have been celebrated like Bernhard Langer, or even seen as a late career inspiration like Tiger Woods in his 2019 Masters comeback. His legacy would likely be centered around resilience and class, not just one unfortunate misstep. Another player whose story often goes unnoticed is Bert Yancey, an American golfer with one of the smoothest, most elegant swings the game has seen. Yancey won 7 times on the PGA Tour, an achievement made even more remarkable by the fact that he battled manic depression throughout his career. If he were playing today in a sports world that increasingly embraces vulnerability and mental health awareness, Yancey might be celebrated in the way Rory McIlroy or even Ricky Fowler is. Talented, thoughtful, and deeply respected both for his game and his honesty. He likely would have become a powerful advocate and role model, not just a name buried in the record books. As golf became more popular, some players did great things but were still hidden in the shadows of even bigger stars. One of these players was Billy Casper, an exceptional putter with a calm, strategic approach to the game. Billy won 51 times on the PGA Tour, including 3 major championships. He also holds the record for the most points scored for the USA in Ryder Cup history. Yet despite all that, he was often overshadowed by his more charismatic peers, like Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. Billy wasn't one to chase the spotlight. He let his game speak for itself. If he were competing in today's era, Billy might be viewed like Dustin Johnson or even Scotty Scheffler, a quiet force. Not flashy, but deadly on the course. He'd likely have massive respect from players and analysts alike. In a time that values humility paired with results, he may have finally gotten the broad recognition his record clearly deserved. Where Billy stayed under the radar because of his quiet nature, Tom Weiskopf drew attention for a very different reason. Known for his powerful swing and graceful ball striking, Tom won 16 times on the PGA Tour, including the Open in 1973. But his career was often defined by frustration. His visible anger on the course sometimes overshadowed his achievements, especially when he finished runner-up at majors 4 times. In today's more nuanced sports culture, Tom might have been seen more like Jon Rahm, a passionate, intense competitor with raw talent and a fiery edge. He likely would have gained a loyal following for his honesty and drive, and when he later turned to golf course design, fans might have appreciated his evolution even more, seeing him as a multi-dimensional figure in the sport rather than just the guy with the temper. While Tom's intensity stood out, another figure quietly reshaped golf's global stage, Tony Jacklin from England. At a time when European players rarely made headlines in American tournaments, Tony broke through by winning both the Open and the US Open, an enormous achievement for any golfer, let alone one carrying the weight of a continent. Beyond his individual success, he revolutionized the Ryder Cup, turning it from a one-sided affair into a fierce, pride-filled competition. As golf grew around the world, some players from other countries became stars in their own way. They were really good at golf, but they were also quiet and didn't seek the spotlight. One of these quiet masters was Gene Littler, who played mainly through the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. He was known for his silky smooth swing. Gene won 29 times on the PGA Tour, including the US Open in 1961. His consistency and calm earned him the nickname Gene the Machine. But Gene was never one for headlines. He valued time with his family over media buzz, which meant many casual fans overlooked just how elite he really was. That same quiet excellence could be seen decades later in Retief Goosen. Playing his best golf in the late 1990s and early 2000s, the South African star was known for his unshakable calm under pressure. He won the US Open twice, first in 2001 and again in 2004, along with several other international titles. Goosen wasn't one to command the microphone, and unfortunately for him, he peaked during the era of Tiger Woods, when nearly every spotlight was already taken. Among those who truly watched the game, his ability to stay composed and deliver in high-stress moments earned deep respect. Now, even today, there are golfers who are really good, but don't always get the fame they deserve. These modern legends are still making history, but sometimes their stories are hidden behind bigger names. Colin Montgomerie from Scotland is one of those players. He played most of his best golf during the 1990s and early 2000s, dominating the European Tour by winning the Order of Merit a record 8 times. He was also a Ryder Cup hero, known for delivering clutch performances under pressure, but because he never won a major, his name is often left out of the greatest conversations, despite coming close several times. Montgomerie wasn't the only one whose steady brilliance often flew under the radar. Sometimes even winning a major and breaking a historic record isn't enough to capture the spotlight for long. Jim Furyk is another modern legend. Playing primarily through the late 1990s and 2000s, Furyk built a remarkable career with 17 PGA Tour wins, including the US Open in 2003. In 2016, he shot a jaw-dropping 58, the lowest round ever recorded on the PGA Tour. Still, he remained one of the game's more understated figures, rarely making headlines for anything other than his scorecards. If Furyk had emerged in the era of social media and data-obsessed golf fans, he might be regarded like Matt Fitzpatrick, analytical, relentless, and quietly elite. With more narrative attention on quirks, underdog styles, and historic feats, Furyk would likely have been a fan favorite for his substance-over-style approach and enduring consistency. That comparison isn't theoretical. Matt Fitzpatrick, another underrated legend, himself is already walking a path that feels familiar. Playing his best golf in the 2010s and into the 2020s, Fitzpatrick steadily built his reputation on precision, discipline, and constant self-improvement. He broke through with a major win at the 2022 US Open, proving that his measured, stats-driven approach could deliver on the biggest stage. While he doesn't always dominate headlines like flashier players, those inside the sport recognize his relentless work ethic and evolving game. Golf history is shaped by players who didn't always make the headlines, but left their mark all the same. So the next time you hear a list of the greatest golfers of all time, maybe pause and think about who's missing and why. And if you've got a favorite underrated player we didn't mention, let us know. Sometimes, all it takes is telling the story to give greatness the spotlight it deserves.